Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Let's seek the truth and travel the long road to justice together. What you know, Alibiers? Welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm Gigi. Thought I would get in an episode tonight. My house is quiet. It's just me here. Clearly, everybody has better social lives than me, but whatever. Real quick reminder, tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern, 48 Hours is rerunning that episode that has Chad's kids on it. I know a lot of you who have been on this case from early on saw it when it aired, I believe maybe late last year, early this year. I'm not sure when, but it's very interesting. So I'm going to rewatch tonight. I forgot a lot of what was said, and that way I can add it to this as we get closer to the time when Tammy Daybell, unfortunately, was murdered. I have to tell you guys a funny Grammy story. So you guys know, if you're older listeners, my Grammy is, she'll be 88 next month. She's just amazing, doing really well, healthy for her age. And so she has Facebook, and she loves Facebook. She likes to see what everybody's doing and sees everybody's pictures. But I pop open my Facebook today and I see she has a story posted. So I'm like, that's interesting. So I open it up, and she's done this before, and it's like a picture of her foot. And then like the next picture is a picture of her leg as she's laying on the couch. So I call and I'm like, Grammy, you posted a story on your Facebook of your foot. No, I didn't. I'm like, Grammy, I'm sitting here looking at your foot right now. Well, take it off. And I said, well, I need your password for Facebook. So she says, I don't know the password. So I have to go down there, take her story off. I'm telling you guys, one day she's going to end up and put a story on there that she really don't want out there. Anyways, so also today I was going through some files on the computer here, just trying to clean some things up. Just been doing a lot of research on this for a couple of months and just trying to stay organized with it and just keep it for later. And came across like some videos of Tylee and JJ. And so I just stopped and watched those and kind of shuffled through the pictures that are in this file I have on my computer. And man, it's just like I was reminded of how much Tylee loved JJ. It was so sweet to see. Every video, every picture, it just radiates from her how much she loved that kid. And I know he loved her the same way. But, I think she gave JJ a lot of the love that maybe she lacked as a child. And, one of her friends said that she thought if it weren't for JJ that Tylee would not have went to Idaho. And I totally believe that. I think, that may be why Tylee was murdered first, is because she wouldn't let anybody touch a hair on that boy's head. I just think it's an important reminder sometimes to just remember the victims and not get caught up in too much of the hoopla with Lori and Chad. Also, so Dateline, when they have episodes about really any episode, they have producer tweets. So if you're on Twitter, it's at Dateline MBCPROD. Just a little random fact. I think we covered this way back when, but Jill Kimmel, the sister of Jimmy Kimmel, was a friend of Alex's, and she actually had a crush on him, and she is a comedian. So I thought that was a little interesting tidbit. So anyways, we're gonna jump back into this timeline. If you remember yesterday, Charles had called Banner Life and found out that, or someone called Banner Life and finds out that they put a password on there. And the last thing we talked about was Charles emailed Lori and said he was willing to take a polygraph, hire a PI to show her that he was not cheating. And Charles's brother, Bobby Vallow, he said on Dateline that Charles would have done anything to make Lori happy. And, I think we've kind of seen that just in what we've done. I would imagine that the Hawaii move was her idea. And I'm sure, he made that happen because that's what she wanted. So February 26th is where we're at. Charles calls Banner Life, the insurance company, to change the beneficiary, and he was told there was a password on the account. So remember, February 20th, somebody called Banner Life and put a password on the account, and the agent asks for the password. And Charles says, I don't have a password. And the agent's like, well, I need your password. So Charles says, look, I'm just changing my beneficiary. And the agent said there's a password and he can't proceed without it. So you can tell Charles just tries to throw a couple out there off the top of his head, and they're wrong. So Charles says that he doesn't remember setting up a password ever. And Charles says, I'm the agent and the insured. And the agent says he would still need to verify that password no matter who you are. And Charles is just, I don't have a password. How do I set up a new password when I never set up one? So Charles says, look, I just know you, I know you're just doing your job, and this is very frustrating for me. And says, I need to change this beneficiary. What do I do? And Charles said, so I could die today and you would give the money to anybody because I don't have my password. Tell me what to do to get this done. So the agent says the best that he can do is mail a beneficiary form out, and then Charles will get that. So Charles asks the agent which address he's mailing it to. And then Charles says, when did I set up a password? And the agent says it was recently. And Charles says, well, how recent? And the agent says February 20th. So Charles says somebody has called under my account, and the agent says, I don't know. And Charles says, I do know. He said, my wife left me 30 days ago. She's taken a ton of my money, and I don't know what she's doing on this account, but it's fraud. I'm Charles Vallow, the insured, and the owner of the policy, and I need to know what to do right now to change my beneficiary to my sister. So the agent says they'll need something in writing via fax or email, and he said to be as blatant as possible with Charles's concerns, and that to express that he feels like somebody's trying to take away his information. And also the agent says to tell in this explanation that Charles is going to send that he talked to him. This guy's name's Kevin, I think, and he just couldn't authenticate the account. So they go back to the calls that were made, and they'll do an investigation, is what the agent tells Charles. And so Charles wants to know if they'll let him know. And the agent says yes, to just put your contact information in the correspondence. So Charles says he'll put his new address, new phone number, and let them know somebody is messing with his account, and only talk to Kay Woodcock, which is his sister, or Charles. And the agent said to mention that he couldn't authenticate the password and to mention his name, Kevin. And Kevin says you have to be personal, say wife, and tell them your concerns. So Charles asks if he can get this in an email today. And so the agent gets that to him, and Charles says, thank you. So at 11:42 a.m., Charles, on the same day, Charles sends an email to someone about the password on his account. And this is obviously the correspondence. And it says, my name is Charles Vallow, and I bought the Banner life insurance policy a few years ago and have the payment drafted from my checking account ending in, and it's redacted. It says I spoke with Kevin and he could not authenticate the password listed on my account. He says one was placed on 2/20/19, and this is in all caps. It was not by me. I request an investigation as I believe it's my soon-to-be ex-wife who fraudulently placed a password on the account. I want to change the beneficiary to my sister, and I have an order of protection against Lori Vallow as she has physically threatened my life in the last 30 days. Please get back to me. And he lists all of his contact information. And then it says, please get back to me as soon as possible. Sincerely, Charles Vallow. So then he also sends another email, and he copies Kay, his sister, in this email. And it says, this is Tuesday, February 26th. It says, I just tried to change my beneficiary on my life policy to my sister. I was notified by the insurance company that a password was placed on the account on 2/20. They are doing an investigation and will, sorry, it's a little hard to read. They will, I think he had a misspell. They'll look at the voice recording, and it says, I assure you it was Lori. I will update you with the findings. I've been locked out of my own life insurance policy until further notice. If anything should happen to me before I get it fixed, my beneficiary is Kay Woodcock, my sister. She will use it to take care of JJ. I want nothing to go to Lori or any member of her family. Sincerely, Charles Vallow. I kind of wonder if maybe that wasn't to his divorce attorney. So Charles calls Banner Life again and says who he is, and he gave his social and his mailing address. And he said that he had changed the address an hour ago with a representative. And she asked if he changed it as the agent or the policy owner, and Charles said both. He said, I have a stop payment on my account. Why would a stop payment be on there? Who did that? Charles said the premium payment was on the banking statement, stop payment reviewed, and the agent said there's nothing on their end to a stop payment. So Charles thanks the agent, and the agent's trying to get these addresses straight. And he asks if there's an identity lock that he can put on there. So if someone calls in about that policy, they would have to provide that. And he says he's changing the beneficiary to his sister for his special needs son. And he asks, can I give you a code, but you have to remember it? Or she says, I'm sorry. She says, I can give you a code, but you have to remember it. So Charles gives her the code that he wants on there. And Charles says, don't give any information to anyone who does not have that password. And Charles thanks her. So Charles' sister Kay said on an episode of Dateline that Charles was so worried he'd be murdered that he even made plans for his death by changing the beneficiary. He said, because y'all are going to end up with JJ, and I don't know that he'll ever be independent. Y'all will need the money to help. And, it's Charles was smart. It's really kind of crazy to see the links that he went to try to provide for JJ, and he knew his life was in danger. And this is in February. He isn't murdered until July 11th. So he knows way back when that they're after him. So we're switching over to Alex, and Alex texts Lori that Ned came by and entirely unleashed on him. He said Charles was driving a rental car, and Lori didn't respond to that message. They also noted sometimes she didn't respond, that they believe she would call. But sometime, I think it's either in March or April, I can't get a date straight. Ian Pulaski's wife asks for a divorce on their 9th wedding anniversary, y'all. Salt in the wound. To ask for a divorce on your anniversary, oh man. Also, sometime in March, Julie Rowe told Court TV that in March of 2019, she cut ties with Chad because he was not going to apologize to me or admit that he was having an affair with Lori or anyone else. So March the 1st, Charles files to dismiss the court proceedings. And his attorney told Nancy Grace Charles asked to dismiss the divorce case because he couldn't get over the fact that she had abandoned him and JJ, and he still loved her and held hope that someday she would wake up from this and come back to him. Also because she had disappeared, and he thought, why am I doing this if she's leaving me alone? And ultimately, he wanted to hold out hope for the future of their family, is what his divorce attorney said. Now, I said last episode, Charles was obviously a very hopeful man. He had faith in a lot of people who did him wrong. So March the 2nd, Charles goes to Summer's house, which is Lori's sister, as well as Alex is looking for Lori. On March 2nd, Lori and Zulema are texting. We did the whole texting series about their bodies changing, getting their periods again, all this stuff. And then on the same day, Alex forwards Lori a message from their mother, Janice, who actually at this point is defending Charles. So this was on March the 2nd. The forward happens. It says, love you too, Al. I do realize all of that. Realize this. Lori canceled his trip home, took his truck, took all of his clothes, and drained the bank account. If I were Charles, I would be upset and do hurtful things. So would you. And even if Charles cheated with hookers, your dad and I cannot ever judge. Charles has never done anything but support me and love me. I love Lori with all my heart. I will help her in any way I can, but because I've been talking to Charles with the spirit guiding me, even if he doesn't have the spirit, it has led him not to go through with the divorce and decide to turn on all the cell phones and put them back in Lori's name and move out of the house, and is going to pay for Lori to move back in, no strings attached. So if that happens, just know the Lord works in mysterious ways. Sometimes things that look black and white are actually gray. I love you and would love to talk to Lori, but I haven't heard from her. I know I'm led by the spirit in my actions, which is interesting that initially she was defending Charles. So anyways, March 3rd, this is the first time investigators find that Lori has traveled to Idaho, and she stays until March 5th when she flies back to Arizona. On March the 6th, the court formally withdraws Charles's divorce petition. And on March 7th, Charles withdrew JJ from his school in Arizona. And he called and asked for a copy of his IEP, which is an individualized educational plan to be put in his backpack and moves to Houston. And that IEP, we've talked about it in the past, but for newer listeners, it's for special needs kids in schools, and it's goals they set throughout the year, how they're going to get there, what they expect the kid to meet as far as the goal is concerned. And they work off of that all year. So March 9th, Charles emails Lori, and it says, Lori, the purpose of this email is again to try and establish a family connection with you and our son. Also, clarify the facts as I've seen them, regardless of where you want to go with the divorce. It's been 38 days since you've made any contact with us. This is necessary because when I saw Alex this past Saturday, he made me aware that I had somehow taken JJ and tried to put you in jail. What Alex said was confusing. It was really further confused that the entire family had refused contact, not just with me, but also with JJ. Lori, on January 30th, I received a call from you stating we were done and all my stuff was gone from the house. I flew back to Phoenix to find my truck, along with my wallet and keys had been taken from the airport. I also saw that $35,000 was taken from the business account by you. 22,000 was to be paid the next day to other reps. I called the police to file a vehicle theft report. While explaining the circumstances, the police officer also suggested I stop by and talk to a place called Bridges about your involvement. They are the ones that ordered the psych eval. Once home, the Gilbert police helped me break into our own home. When I got in, I discovered everyone gone. Also, JJ's clothes, JJ's favorite iPad, my clothes, work computer, and even Bailey's training collar were also gone. The next morning, I got a rental car and went to JJ's school. When you entered the gates with JJ, I did go to your car and retrieved your purse. You obviously had a spare set of keys and left. I texted you asking to return my things and I would give you back your purse. You responded by text telling me where my truck and clothes could be found. You also asked me to drop off your purse with, and it's redacted, when I picked up JJ from school that day, which I did. On the same day, it's redacted, received a text from you. She didn't tell me about it till Friday. I think this is Kay, maybe, on February the 1st. I was shocked beyond belief when I read it. In case you don't recall, here it is. Hi, Kay. This is Lori texting who I think is Kay Woodcock. Hi, KK. Just wanted to let you know, in case you hear otherwise from Charles, that JJ is fine. I found out yesterday from my credit card that Charles has been entertaining prostitutes while traveling to California for work. Of course, I was pretty upset when I confronted him over the phone yesterday. So we are not home since I didn't want to argue with him when he got home from Texas last night. JJ is having fun. Sorry to include you in this drama, but who knows what he's telling anybody. He turned off my phone from Verizon, so all I can do is text. And Charles picks back up and says, Lori, if it somehow makes you feel better to make these kinds of accusations, then I certainly can't stop you. But for the record, you and I both know it's ridiculous. You are my one and only for 14 years, period. Only after hearing this from Alex did I begin to put the pieces together. And just a real quick thing, the day that she texted who I think is Kay, February the 1st, that's the day she checks herself into Community Bridges, tells Charles where his truck is, and that's also the day that Charles files for divorce. So that just wanted to tell you what was happening that day. So back to the letter. Charles says, Lori, you are the only one whose response I will accept to the following offer. On Friday, March 15th, I will have all my stuff vacated from the house. You may have it back on Saturday, March 16th. I will continue to pay all the bills, and you and I can work out a schedule with JJ. I will also schedule a locksmith to change all the locks for you. I need to know if this is acceptable by Monday morning, March 11th. I'm unaware of your wants and needs because you have not contacted me in any way or responded to any of my efforts. If you have not contacted me, the only conclusion I can draw is that after 38 days, you and your family no longer want communication with JJ. This will be your choice. And he put your in all caps. I'm going to take action and continue to take care of JJ because I'm not getting any response from you. I have no other choice. You've taken away all of his family here. It makes us both really sad, and I really hurt for him. You're his mother. He misses you. Please agree to see your son, Charles. And man, that just in last episode we talked about how all the stuff Charles was going through, just all the craziness. And he's still thinking of her. How can he take care of her? And it's just, for me, it tells me the kind of man Charles was. Um, just anyways, just I thought that was, a really sweet letter, in spite of everything. The same day that he emails Lori, Charles forwards the email where Chad rates the family of Lori's to his sister Kay. So he's found that. And also the same day, Lori texted Alex. Apparently it's tied to Ned being gone, hopefully today or tomorrow. Also, March 9th is Chad and Tammy's 29th wedding anniversary. Oh man. Yeah. But watch the 48 hours tonight if you haven't seen it. It's interesting. So March 10th, Alex responds to Lori, love you too. Have fun and get rid of Ned already. And do mom and Shish know about Ned? I did not just have a mini seizure. It says Shish. Do mom and Shish know about Ned? Lori responds, it's not Ned, it's a new one. So we're talking about, remember Ned's gone, then it becomes, I think, Garrett, then Iplos. But the interesting thing for me is when I was going back through these text messages, have fun and get rid of Ned already. At this point, to me, it kind of tells me maybe Alex isn't in on the plan. I mean, we know eventually he is, but get rid of Ned already. So March 11th, the deadline for Lori to decide about what Charles proposed in his email comes and goes. And March 19th through the 21st, Chad and Lori fly from Idaho Falls to Mesa Airport together on the same flight. And on March 19th, Charles emails Lori again. He says, Lori, it's been 49 days since JJ or I have heard anything from you or your family. I informed you in the last email that if we didn't hear anything by Monday, March 11th, I would be left with no other decision than to take further action. I'm hoping and praying with JJ that you may reconsider. Therefore, I will keep the house until the end of April in hopes that you'll come see your son. He's doing well. He's actually taking his own tubby. I think maybe it's like a bath, washing his own hair and getting in his own jammies. After his tubby, he actually sits with me for a few minutes and then takes himself to bed. So we can do scriptures and he goes right to sleep. He did get his first real haircut and it's as adorable as he is. He's having fun with lots of his new buddies and cousins. He's had his well check in March and I sent you the form. He's doing quite well. I'm sure you're aware I did withdraw him from school so he could be close to the rest of his family. Of course, he misses, I think it's Tylee, but it was your decision to cut that off. He is being homeschooled with an experienced special needs teacher. I make no judgment, Lori. I only want what's best for JJ, and having you in his life is crucial to his well-being and development. Please see your son or at least call him. He does miss you terribly and simply cannot understand where you went. Please do or say something for him. He deserves it. And Charles puts in all caps, please. And, kind of reading this letter, you see that like he's got JJ on this routine, like JJ needs to be on. And Lori with the constantly, like going everywhere, going to hotels and all that. It's just, it had to be so hard. So, hopefully JJ just really, it sounds like he did really well when it was just him and Charles. And man, it just hurts to think that it could have been that way, down the line. But man, so March 21st, Charles is emailing JJ school in Arizona, needing some documents from 2019 to be sent to his new school. And he also said that Lori has most of those documents, but she's gone and can't be located. And investigators say at this point, she was back at the 4 Points Sheraton in Mesa. So she's back from her little stint of being gone. March 22nd, Lori stays with Zulema. Melanice and Gib are there, as well as Serena, Christina, and Nicole. And I think this is one of the times where they tried to cast out the demon from Charles. And Gibbs said they're all coming up with different ideas. Someone would say something about Malachite having power, which we know that the rings Lori bought before Tammy Daybell was murdered, by the way, they have power. So, and then Serena had a moment where she said they should ask permission. And Gibbs said Zulema and Serena got attacked by an evil spirit and couldn't breathe. Serena and Nicole had something happen to her, got heavy, depressed, and quiet. They would say darkness would come after you did good things. And Lori would raise her hand and say she had the priesthood power and Chad would groom her into those beliefs. They each had something to say in a loving manner, not evil. Come to the light. So this is in with investigators, so what she's saying is initially they were trying to use like a loving way to cast out these spirits. Not sure about that. But Christina said in her interview with investigators about this visit that Lori had some pretty wild ideas and theories. And she said Charles was possessed. They hung out at Zulima's, and the ladies were also kind and welcoming. And that's where she met all of them. This is Christina. They talked about scriptures. Most of it was dominated by Lori. And she was talking about theories about pre-existence. And she believed there was a connection with all of the girls, that they had known each other in other lives. And she also said this is the first time she heard that Charles was possessed. If you remember, Christina kind of, her sons and husband knew Lori more. They visited in Hawaii. She came to Christina with this money, knowing they were having financial difficulty. So Christina initially felt kind of obligated to listen to this, but quickly was out. She said Lori had also written down who everybody was in their other lives. And Christina had no idea how Lori came to all of this. Nicole and Christina had been in the temple when Lori was there by chance, and they shared their desire to create a community and help people in their community. And they shared scriptures, and she said it was great. Then she said she interacted with Lori maybe 3 times after Lori got back from that 72-day thing in Hawaii. Then she got on this path where I think it just got more extreme. And Christina said she didn't believe everything Lori was saying, but she said she could tell Lori believed everything she was telling them. Christina said, this is a woman who showed up at my door with money to help my family out. I was willing to hear her out. But at some point between this meeting and the next one in June, they all meet at Alex's house, but he wasn't there. And Christina told investigators that Lori was sharing more of her wild ideas. Christina said they did scripture study first, but Lori started the wild idea of Charles being possessed, and that she was worried that Tylee had dark spirits over her trying to control her. So you see there, as early as March, she's talking about Tylee being dark. And man, after Charles, you just wonder, why didn't somebody, the minute that you hear zombie in reference to Tylee, JJ, Tammy, why don't you go to the police? It's like that will always be one of the biggest questions I have, because man, if people had spoke up, we would not have as many dead people in this case as we do. So we're almost finished here for this episode, guys. March 25th, Lori says she will go see her grandchild and Tylee. I think this is when Tylee was staying with Alex at his house. Sometime in the spring, Melanie Gibb was on the phone with Lori, and Lori called Tylee a zombie. So Tylee overhears this and says, "Not me, Mom." And Melanie Gibb said this arose out of Lori requiring Tylee to babysit JJ, and Tylee didn't want to. Lori also told Gibb that Tylee had turned into a zombie when she was 12 or 13. Around the same time, Lori said Tylee had become difficult to work with. On March 26th, Alex texts Lori, "Ned is still alive. Just confirmed." Lori responds, "It's not Ned, it's a new one." So we're going to stop here. And we still haven't got to the point to where they reunite briefly. We'll do that in the next day or so. Anyway, so don't forget tonight, 10 Eastern, 48 hours. If you haven't seen it, or like me, just need a refresher, it's with Chad Daybell's kids. They defend him and feel like he was framed. It's okay. But anyways, I hope you guys have a good night. Don't forget, I think maybe 10 more. We need 10 more subscribers on YouTube, and then we've hit 8,000. So if you haven't yet, go like and subscribe. Hit that little bell on YouTube, and we will see you soon. Hope you guys have a really good rest of your night.